ideas of the sovereign national state and individual liberty were born in countries like Britain, France, Holland, Germany, Italy and Spain. But the Western reductionist worldview narrowed the concept of the state and liberty to a physical level. Nation-states have divided humanity. The liberty of a person is curtailed by the restrictions of the state. In ancient India, the liberty of a person was also limited by reasonable restrictions called maryada. But the maryada-abiding Indians aimed for absolute freedom. They called it moksha. Moksha is the absolute absence of all sufferings. The absolute absence of all limitations. Why then did Indians create the concept of Rashtra, the nation, which divides humanity? Because moksha needs tapasya, rigor, and the nation is its tapobhumi, land of practicing tapas. The human body and the Rashtra are the means to achieve the absolute freedom, which is moksha.
Sadhana dham मोक्ष कर द्वारा पाई न जेहि परलोक सारा साधन धाम मोक्ष कर द्वारा पाई न जेहि परलोक सारा साधन धाम मोक्ष कर द्वारा.
This is the age of globalization. The concept of the nation-state is very limited. Patriotism often reached a frenzy for the masses, and it caused much destruction on earth. Did the Indian state come into existence with this kind of frenzy? The idea of India is very ancient. This shloka appears in many Puranas. North of the ocean and south of the Himalayas is the land known as Bharat, and her people Bharati. Hindus had defined their nation when Britain, France, Portugal and Spain were not even born. For Hindus, the idea of the nation, Rashtra, was not limited only to the physical land. Rashtra was a living entity. Land is her body. People are her prana, vital force, and culture her mind. The life view of ancient Indians was not reductionist. They had the ability of perceiving the Adi-bhautik, the physical, Adi-devik, divine, and the Adhyatmic, spiritual, all as aspects of reality, all seen as one. Let us take the example of bathing. Bathing every day is one of the ancient practices of the Hindus. Bathing is not only cleaning of the physical body. For cleaning, there were small rooms built outside the large bathing pool of Mohenjo-daro. A bath is seen as a divine ritual. The deity of water is Varun, so water is considered sacred. With this, Atma Abhishek, sanctification, is performed, and this daily ritual was called the bath. Its spiritual form in yoga is Shauch, purification. In yogic practice, bathing is Adi-bhautik, physical, when cleaning the body, Adi-devik, divine, when Abhishek or sanctification is performed, and Adhyatmic, spiritual, when it is Shauch or purification. Flowing water is considered most sacred. When taking a bath, Hindus are meant to recite the names of all the main rivers of Bharat. They perform the ritual of Sandhya, puja at twilight hour, every morning and evening after bathing. While doing so, they recited the name of their country Bharat, and with it their own name. No citizens of any other country in the world recited the name of their nation in their daily ritual. Bharat also has 3 levels of reality: Adi-bhautik, Adi-devik, and Adhyatmic. Bharat is not just a physical entity consisting of land. It is a conscious life force to be awakened like the Kundalini. In our body, the Kundalini resides here. Through the practice of yoga or tapas, she ascends from here. On reaching there, she completes her sadhana, practice. Yogis have sung beautiful songs of their longing and union. These hymns describe the geography of Bharat. It says that the expanse of Bharat is from Kanyakumari to the origin of the Ganga. Here, a Kumari is immersed in tapasya, penance. Her goal is to unite with Adi Yogi, Shiva. In this metaphor of Shiva Parvati, the flow of vital prana or energy between the two ends of the land is shown. In this lies the Kundalini of yoga. Along with the Kundalini, there are 72,000 Nadis, energy channels. The body is alive through these channels of Nadis. The earth also is not without life. These are not just rivers, but flowing Nadis of her body. The rivers of Bharat are unique because their banks are illuminated with the presence of yogis. According to yoga, 3 subtle nadis flow in the human body: Ida, Pingala and Sushmana. Similarly, the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati once flowed across the land of Bharat. Places where the nadis of Kundalini meet are called chakras. These places have special awakening powers. And the places where the rivers of India meet are called Prayag. At these confluences, Indians can attain awakening, says the Veda. The body is nurtured by the land. Therefore, it should have the characteristics of the land. Yoga texts have shown Desh, their country, in the human body. And the yogis have visualized the human body in their Desh, country. The body and mind of the people form the country and its society. With a little negligence, in the same way that a pot can break or a body can perish, a nation of ignorant people can disintegrate. For spiritual awakening, we have to be Jagrat, alert. Before the Mongols, the Huns were equally ferocious and were destroying the world. Baladitya, king of the Gupta Empire, crushed the armies of the Huns and declared himself as savior of the earth. But saving the earth is not the ultimate goal. Realization of the self is the truly ultimate goal. Sacrifice self for the sake of the family. Sacrifice family for the sake of the village. And the village for the sake of the state. And for the liberation of the self, renounce the world. In ancient India, global thinking and nationalism were subservient to the goal of liberation of an individual. Modern nationalism is an ism. It can be the patriotic frenzy of a crowd. But reverence for the nation, Desh Bhakti, is Bhakti. undivided reverence. If bhakti for India is mistaken for patriotism in the West, then India will never be understood properly. Bhakti today is considered to mean blind faith. In fact, it is the most ancient and logical philosophy of humanity.
भक्ति का अर्थ है उपासक उपास्य का भाग बन जाए, ये भक्त है। जो भाग नहीं बन सकता वो विभक्त है। जो विभक्त हो गया वो टूट गया, जो टूट गया वो खंडित हो गया। भगवान से खंडित हो गया, अस्तित्व से खंडित हो गया, ये एक पक्ष है। स्वयं में खंडित हो गया, ये दूसरा पक्ष है। कौन सी पंक्ति है वो?
Rigved, the oldest text in the world, opens with the hymns of bhakti.
अग्नि मीले पुरोहितम, और उसका अर्थ मैं अग्नि की स्तुति करता हूं, जो अग्नि मैं स्वयं हूं, मैं पुरोहित हूं, स्तुति अग्नि की कर रहा हूं, लेकिन अग्नि मुझसे भिन्न नहीं है, मैं विभक्त नहीं हूं। जो पुरोहित है, उपासक है, भक्त है, किसका भक्त है? अग्नि का भक्त है।
This burning of fire, Agni, is not only about a fire. Agni has many forms, like Jataragni, the fire of hunger, and Jnanagni, the fire of knowledge. By sacrificing food to Jataragni, life is sustained in the body. Through Jnanagni, life is further illuminated.
अग्नि कब पैदा हुई थी? अनादिकाल से है। अग्नि किस देश की अधिष्ठाता है? सार्वभौम है। तो एक अनादि अनंत सार्वभौम सत्ता, जिसे हम अग्नि के नाम से इसलिए कहते हैं कि वो ऊर्जा है और चेतन ऊर्जा है। भारत के गांव में अब भी जो कोई महिला ये कहना चाहती है कि अग्नि जलाओ, तो ये नहीं कहती है, कहती है अग्नि चेताओ। समझें इस बात को। नहीं, अग्नि जलने की चीज नहीं है, चैतन्य के जागृत होने की चीज।
जागृत रहना रे नगर में चोर आवेगा।
Householders worship divinities through Agni, and yogis preserve fire in dhuni, sacred fireplaces, thus bringing harmony in the inner and outer Agni. One of the names of Agni is Bharat. The people who worshipped Agni were known as Bharatjan, and the land where Agni remained alive forever was known as Bharat. Till recent times, the women of India never extinguished the fire in their kitchens.
तो कहती है अग्नि चेताओ, सो गई है। हम सब में जो चेतना है वो सो गई है, और हम ऐसा व्यवहार कर रहे हैं जैसे जड़ हैं, जैसे हम यंत्र हैं। मंत्र से जगाता है, मनन की शक्ति मंत्र है। तो क्या कह रहा है ऋषि? ये विश्वामित्र ऋषि है। किस देश का मित्र है? विश्व का मित्र है। अग्नि किसी एक देश की नहीं, किसी एक काल की नहीं, इसका उपासक किसी एक देश का नहीं। आश्चर्य होता है। अभी भूमंडलीकरण की बात तो अब हम करने लगे हैं। कैसा रहा होगा वो ऋषि जिसने अपना असली नाम तो छिपा लिया शायद, और ये संदेश देना चाहा कि मैं सबका मित्र हूं और मैं उसकी उपासना कर रहा हूं जो चेतना है सब में। और वो चेतना पुरोहित है, अदृश्य नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है कि दिखाई नहीं देती है। मुझे चेतना मनुष्य में दिखाई देती है, इतनी बात नहीं है। पशु पक्षी में दिखाई देती है, इतनी बात नहीं है। पेड़ पौधों में दिखाई देती है, इतनी बात भी नहीं है, मुझे वह चेतना पत्थर में भी दिखाई देती है। इसलिए मैं अग्नि की स्तुति करूं तो, वायु की करूं तो, सूर्य की करूं तो, जल की करूं तो, चेतना की ही उपासना है।
Our sleeping consciousness awakes with the rising sun. The sun is the nurturer of life. Nurture means Bharata. Therefore, one of the names of the sun or Surya is Bharat. So the land of the Suryavanshis, sons of Surya, became Bharat. Magnificent sun temples were built all over Bharat. The sun temple of Multan was gigantic. It is said to have been built by Sambh, the son of Krishna. Now, it no longer exists. The unity of India was damaged by those who destroyed these sun temples. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar describes these acts of destruction in his book, Partition of India, written in 1940. He wrote that when the Chinese traveler Huan Sang visited India in the 7th century AD, India was an ancient country and Afghanistan was part of India. But something happened between 1711 and 1940 so that India is no more that country. The first consequences of these invasions were the breaking up of the unity of North India with the rest of India. The whole of North India would have been severed from India had it not been for the check provided by the rise of the Sikhs. The methods adopted by the invaders had left behind its aftermath. One aftermath is the bitterness between Hindus and Muslims. National unity must be founded on the sense of kinship in the feeling of being kindred. The remnants of the binding cultures of the Hindus and Buddhists have just become shrubs, and the dividing force has become as great and strong as an oak. He writes, what is astonishing is that these acts were treated as legitimate acts of warfare, for which no apology was necessary. Within 7 years of writing this, India was painfully divided. Whenever you see a ruined sun temple, remind yourself of the brutal destruction of her culture. The people who plundered these temples destroyed India's old boundaries and her cultural continuity. They blocked making the world into one large family, Vasudev Kutumbakam. In 1947, India was not born, but broken. After 1947, there were continuous attempts to destabilize and break up the country. These lines, written before 1947, describing the geographical diversities of India, are inspired by the Ramayana. Till the time of Tagore, Ramayana was a source of inspiration. After independence, Marxists tried to eliminate that source of inspiration. The Ramayana and inspirational literature were removed from textbooks. The Vedic concepts of Bharat, Rashtra, Sabha, Samiti, Gana are not considered in the administrative services or in modern education. The architecture of Parliament was taken from a temple, but it is devoid of its Bhakti. Temples had Sabha Mandapas or pavilions, and elected samitis or committees used to assemble here. Many temples had democratic welfare administration for the villages under them. This famous inscription describes the electoral process and the qualification of the candidates. Sabha Mandapas had divine and spiritual purposes also. Songs, dance and plays were performed for the deity. Spiritual debates were also held there. Indians with their integrated life view call their rivers Mother. They knew that food grains nurture the human body and rivers nurture the grains. This river Sindhu, these fields, and this magnificent mutt, all are the eternal symbols of Sindhu Dharma. Sindhutva or Hindutva is not a religion of a book written in the past, but a continuously flowing culture, Sanskriti.